Hi, thank you for joining the Love and Sustainability Initiative. And today I want to I want to talk with the parents about how we as parents can help our children if they are being bullied. Now, the last time I talked to the young people, and what I told them was that the most important thing that they can do is to stand up for themselves, and in standing up for themselves, they would start with telling everyone. Tell everyone. Okay, that's the important thing to jumpstart that standing up for yourself process. And as parents, we need to realize that, in a perfect world, that's maybe how it would happen. But we're not in a perfect world. And so the reality is that our children may not come and tell us. Our children may not come and tell us. So what do we do as parents in that situation? And so I've sort of come up with a suggestion that I think will help us as parents to help our children in dealing with bullying and being bullied, and what to do in that situation. Now, back in the day, if you remember, there was a conversation that our parents had to have with us. We still have to have that conversation with our children, but back then, that was like the most important conversation that our parents could have with us. And it was a conversation that they only have to have one time. That was it. Well, of course, unless we had questions or whatever, but basically that it was a one-time conversation. Now, does anyone besides me remember what that conversation was? Yeah, that conversation about the birds and the bees, that conversation. If we remember, that it was basically a one-time conversation, unless, of course, we had questions. But today, because of the way things are, like with the bullying, it's like this bullying thing it's just boom, exploded. It's exploded, and so because of that, and the fact that our young people are killing themselves, committing suicide because of being bullied, that warrants another conversation that we need to have with our child as parents. So the vital thing for parents to do is to have that conversation with our child. And so, we might wonder, well, what do we say in that conversation? How do we start that conversation? And, it's a pretty simple conversation, but it's an important conversation. And I have a suggestion. I have a suggestion of how we can start that conversation with our child. And now I'm going to share my suggestion, but of course, please take that and tailor it to yourself, or maybe this might spark another way that you see better or fit to have the conversation. But if it were me, I would start the conversation by saying, Johnny, Laura, I have something very important that I need to talk to you about. Or, I have something important that I need to ask you. And from there, you blunt, straight ask the question. I want to know, are you being bullied at school? I want to know if you're being bullied at school. If anyone there is mistreating you, I want to know. I want you to tell me. And then you go on to tell them that you love them. I love you. You're special. I want the best for you, and no one should be bullied. And if you are being bullied, I want you to tell me so that I can handle it, so that I can take care of it for you. And then you look for their response. And even more, it's good to pay attention to their reaction. Okay? Now, the reason I say to do it in this way, the reason I feel that this is a good way to start the conversation is because, for one, when your parent tells you, I have something important that I need to talk to you about, or I have something important I want to ask you, what that does is that summons, that brings up that important attention. Your child will then give you their important attention right away because they want to know. And so once we say that, once we say I have something important I want to ask you, I have something important that I want to talk to you about, that's when we go right in with the question. I want to know, are you being bullied at school? Is anyone mistreating you there? I want to know. And see, and the thing is, you know, if we say, ask them, you know, if we tell them, I have something important I want to talk to you about, I have something important I want to ask you, and then we beat around the bush, then that they may get the idea that, well, this isn't that important, and so then their mind goes somewhere else, because kids, you know, their minds are going, they're dreaming, their imagination, they're thinking about school, they're thinking about a lot of different things. And so when we tell them we have something important that we want to ask them or talk to them about, then that is one way that we really summons their important attention. So so we need to go in and ask that question. And the thing is, when we ask that question, we listen to their response, but we want to pay attention to their reaction as well. And you know, there are several things, there are several responses that a child can give us. They can say, yes, I am being bullied, and that would be, you know, if that's the case, then that's great. Then we take it from there. Or they can say, oh, mom, oh, dad, blah, 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 whatever. Or they can say no. And we really want to pay attention to that no, because that no could actually mean yes. Not that our child is being deceptive, but, you know, with bullying, it could be something that has made them feel embarrassed or ashamed, and so they may not want to tell us. And so whatever their response is, we want to go right back in and reassure them that we love them and that we care for them, and that if they are being bullied, we want them to come and tell us so that we can take care of that situation for them. And a lot of times a child might say no, either because it could be a no, they're not being bullied. Or it could be a situation where they don't think it's that bad. They may think that it's going to go away, maybe it's not going to happen anymore, and you know, so for them it's a no. So we want to reassure them, and see, this is a conversation that we can have with our children at any time. At any time we can have that conversation, anytime. And the conversation doesn't have to be a long, drawn out conversation, because in the words that I suggested, that maybe will take a minute, but in that minute you have put in, you see, it's not just what you're telling them, it's what you're giving them, that feeling of love and protection and security. That's what you're giving them in that conversation. And when you're giving them that, they're going to be able to take that with them if they do happen to become a victim of bullying. That's something that will give them strength in that situation. And it's a conversation that you can have. You can have the conversation while you're cooking, before dinner. You can have that conversation after dinner. You can have that conversation at breakfast. You can have that conversation before you rush off to work, or before you rush them off to school, or before they rush to the bus, or before you drop them off at school, or when they come home. This is a conversation that you can have at any time. Well, there's one particular time I wouldn't have the conversation personally, and that would be if they're playing video games. If they're playing video games and they're winning in whatever the video game is they're playing, I'd wait. If they're losing, sure, they'll probably put it down real quick. But that is the conversation that we need to have with our child, and we need to make it a continual conversation, a conversation that we have periodically with our child. Because let's say a week after school started, we ask our child, Johnny, Laura, I have something very important I want to ask you. I want to know if you're being bullied at school. And if you are, I want you to tell me so that I can handle it for you. And the answer might be no. It might be a real no. No, they're not being bullied. They're not being bullied. But then a month later, or 2 weeks later, they might be bullied. So in that week, when you asked them a month ago, they weren't being bullied. And so you need to have the conversation continually, because a month later, it may very well be that they are being bullied. And so by having that conversation with them continually, checking in, that way we provide some assurance for them, and hopefully if they are in a bullying situation, they won't come to that point where they would want to kill themselves because they're being bullied. So that is one way that we as parents can try to help our children with this bullying epidemic. So let's see, I hope that's helpful, and let's see, I believe I've covered everything that I wanted to share with you. But please remember that it's a conversation that we want to be able to continue, have continually with our children, because things can change from one week to the next. And we want to pay attention to our child's reaction, because then if they are being bullied, they may very well give us, they may give us cues or clues that something is going on. And so we want to pay attention to those things. And so that's all for now, and thank you. If you would like to send any questions or any suggestions, or if you want to tell your story, please do so. You can email us at don'tgiveUp@salonexotica.com, and I will put a brief article with this video and write it down for you. So thank you so much, and I look forward to having a conversation again with you soon. Thank you, and have a great day.